Premier League arenas have a bunch of rules that everybody needs to stick to, regardless of whether a few things appear to be odd to be banned. Premier League football has gone through some various changes since the time the league first made its debut back in 1992, and a portion of these changes have affected the fan base as well. Things have been restricted from the grounds for as long as football has been a game. What the football club doesn't understand is that something needs to be prohibited until somebody chooses to turn it up and, make it an issue. While the world is filled with football fans, there are a number of people who know nothing about the strange rundown of things that are banned from the Premier League arenas all over the United Kingdom, as well as the country's national stadium, Wembley. A portion of these things should be obvious and take a tad of presence of mind to choose not to carry them to a football match, while others beg the question as to why fans should be told not to carry them to a public event. So, let's discuss all those 10 things that will be confiscated if they're ever brought to the Premier League season, as well as some things that fans didn't know were banned inside of the stadium. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into it. The 2010 World Cup brought vuvuzelas into the public eye, and it wasn't long before they were restricted from pretty much every stadium as a part of the occasion, since they were viewed as one of the most irritating and frustrating items that fans had ever appended themselves to. It wasn't long before the Premier League chose to take cues from FIFA and restrict vuvuzelas from all over football stadiums in England's most elevated league. Tottenham Hotspur once again turned into the innovators when they were the first club in Britain to boycott the plastic horns by expressing that the instruments could be used as weapons. Flares can not only be dangerous to the people around them, given the amount of smoke that they discharge when they're let off, but they can likewise be viewed as a gigantic interruption for the game on the pitch due to the uproarious commotion that they tend to make. Fans have at times taken the use of them way too far, and it's really clear that this is an object that needs to be prohibited from stadiums. Regardless of whether they're tossed in a celebratory fashion or out of sheer anger, they can lead to a lot of issues from the audience on the field, and they're just safer without them. This passage connects to the fact that a few fans have been known to attend the football matches before and shine laser pens, according to footballers, as an approach to divert them while they're attempting to play football. While it's an effective strategy to guarantee that your team wins, it's also something that has been constrained by many Premier League teams, including West Ham, to ban any laser object from the London ground in the future. Numerous different grounds have likewise taken cues from West Ham, and fans searched for the laser gear before they were permitted into the many Premier League venues. The most well-known story told encompassing animals in football arenas surrounds a match between Zenit St. Petersburg and Spartak Moscow back in 2006, when a fan attempted to sneak in his pet porky pig. Many Premier League stadiums in England and Wales have expressed that the animals are not permitted to come to football matches with their own owners either, with numerous stadiums supposedly only allowing guide dogs to enter the ground consistently, with all other animals restricted. Guide dogs are purportedly only permitted in attendance in the stadium if they're joined by their owner and no other person. This rule made me sad, but moving on. Beside the toilets inside the Premier League grounds, it's reported that back in the 1990s, many fans were hooked on the fact that Gary Lineker had confessed to freeing himself during a match as part of the World Cup in Italy in 1990. Fans chose to bring toilet paper to the games to toss at Lineker, who coincidentally saw the funny side of the trick. This went on for months before Tottenham Hotspur once again chose to be the trendsetters when they clarified that all toilet paper was now restricted from being bought into the stadium. Guys, no pranking! Premier League grounds are not only the venues that restrict fans from carrying kids onto the ground, on carriages that is, since there were many sport arenas all around the world that have prohibited the use of strollers, since apparently they can cause various deferrals in lines, and there ain't no place for them to sit while the fans are watching the game. Parents should be ready to carry their kids into the ground and either set them on their knees in the event, if they're sufficiently young enough, or give them their own ticket so they can pull up a seat. Given the incident at the game between Sunderland and Liverpool a couple of years ago when a beach ball was tossed onto the pitch and later became involved in the winning goal, there's a valid justification for Premier League football clubs to boycott the beach balls. The items have likewise been said to impede the view for some fans who are attempting to watch the match, as well as reports that wounds have been caused when fans have been attempting to jump or hit the balls. In recent years, beach balls have been prohibited from many game settings and, surprisingly, live wrestling events. There's not really fruit that's banned from Premier League grounds, yet some vegetables, specifically celery, is. This is the weirdest one I've got so far. It was a cult trend during the 1980s for Chelsea fans to carry celery to matches and throw it onto the pitch. At the point where fans took this excessively far and chose to toss bits of the vegetable at Cesc Fabregas while he was playing for Arsenal, the club chose to step in. Their 2007 Carling Cup tie has been postponed so groundsmen could steer clear of the pitch before Chelsea. They at that point then cleared up that anybody caught with this vegetable in the future would be denied entry. Football fans are likely used to seeing banners around the Premier League grounds pretty consistently. However, indicated by ground guidelines, flags are allowed as long as they aren't connected to a pole. I'm just getting an image of like somebody taking the rectangular part of a flag and the pole and just like getting close to connecting them. A security guard over there is like, "Hey, you! Hey, stop that! Get over here!" Ah, shit! Gotta run! Anyways, poles without much of a stretch can be used as weapons, so the poles have to be emptied and made of plastic before they can even, be taken into the place. Security at the ground will likewise need to carry out the standard before it's permitted in the ground to guarantee that fans aren't concealing items inside of it, or using them to stab people, like a javelin. Also that the wording of the flag doesn't contain any offensive language, because censorship. No, of course it's a good thing. This could undoubtedly be connected to the fact that many Premier League games are streamed on national TV, and clubs don't want fans making a move to promote themselves before a tremendous crowd. As per many standards and guidelines that Premier League clubs have put into place, fans may not bring onto the ground any sponsorship, promotional, or marketing materials without written approval from the club's management team. Fans can apply for consent from the club ahead of time or wear any sort of merchandise which promotes the team or their primary sponsors. Whether or not we want to abide by them, life's got rules and limitations that are made to make sure we all stay within our limits. And in sports, there are similarly as many unusual rules and limitations that players, fans, and groups need to give some consideration to try not to get some, punishment, because that sucks. Rules are there to keep things fair, and punishments are there to make sure the rules get followed. But just because the league puts these things in place doesn't mean that they always have to make sense, and doesn't mean that they always have to religiously make sure that if someone brings a bag of celery in, they're not like, 23-19, get him! Anyways, with that, it's time to end the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, even the weird parts, and maybe you could share it all with your crazy football friends. And you know the drill. Before you leave, make sure to hit the subscribe button, do all that stuff. Tell me that my effort is worthwhile and I'm a valid human being. And if you don't subscribe, then none of that's true. I don't know what to do with that. Later, guys.